We are live. Welcome, welcome. It is the Q&A, the 30 with Justin and Karen, our weekly sort of foray into just talking about stuff with people. And we've had a lot of weeks of other people on the stream and coming on and telling their story and so on and so forth. And we thought that it might be worthwhile for Karen and I to have a chat and just talk about us and see what happens and see where it goes. Um, First of all, I would like to say, because I don't know how many people know this, some people might not. Karen's my mom, so we're gonna say that out loud to the world. And even though there was a time when Karen used to tell me, "Don't tell people you're my son. This is business," which is great. It's cool. We're good. But I joined this team. I joined Karen and real estate in general about 22, 23 years ago now, and never really looked back. And really, everything I've learned to a point, everything I've done to a point, was from my parents, because my mom and dad both in real estate and learning from them. And so it's just an interesting kind of family business that we've kind of decided to continue to run with and roll with. And we're having a great time with it. But in the short term, what I thought we'd do is talk a little bit about the market right now, understanding a little bit about what we're doing and what's happening. And then also, just how we're kind of working with our clients to sort of make life better for them and understand what the best practices are. So I'll start with a simple question, and we can talk back and forth from here. But what is the market right now? Is it balanced? Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it what? What is it?
The market.
It's a very dicey question.
The market is not fast. The market is not slow. I'm calling it a stable market. And the reason I'm calling it a stable market is because there are sales going on consistently, whether it be zero or to $10 million. There are always sales going on every day. Not an extreme amount. It's not a frenzied market, but it is definitely a buyer's market to negotiate hard.
And that a lot of that's driven by the idea of like the amount of listings we have on the market, right? Like we have over August, as an example, we had upwards of 830 listings on the market in Burlington, which is an extremely high number.
Yeah.
Typically this time of year, we might see 400 to 600 listings on the market, and that keeps things moving at a brisk pace for most people.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting at just over 600 listings on the market, which is not terrible, but it's certainly not the sort of average that we've seen over, I know, my
Oh, it's
career.
gone down, eh, Justin?
It has gone down a bit, yeah. But I think that's a lot of that's kind of because you have people that get their kids into school. You have kids over August, for example. And I'm, for October, I'm about to do a new market update to kind of get a little more detail. And you'll see that on our socials as we go forward. But when kids go back to school, parents have that sort of moment in between where they get them settled into school, they wait a few weeks, and then they start thinking
Yeah.
about buying and selling a house. But
The
the
house,
moment before school in
the house
August,
is
they're on
smaller
vacation.
bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it shoves listings down a bit for about, 3 weeks,
Yeah.
4 weeks. And then at the end of September, it starts to take off again as
Yeah.
listings come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I know, I noticed there's a lot of for sale signs up, but they're up for the average days on the market is still running. When the frenzied market, it was just like 5 days and that was it. We're gone, 300, 500,000 over asking. But now, the market is such that houses will stay on the market for about 30 to 50 days on average. And but it has to be with two, maybe one or two price reductions in the intro. Okay. And that's that's a very important note because usually we let our listings sit for about 2 weeks and we'll know if there's no showings, we have to approach our sellers and say, hey guys, we've, the price is not right now. We've got to feel out the market. And no agent can tell you what your house is worth. Not one agent can tell you what your house is worth because the market's changing so much,
Mhm.
so quickly.
So quickly, yes, but also just in general, like you don't know what one buyer might be willing to pay versus another
Yeah.
buyer.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a great example. We sold 3350 Guelph Line was a listing we sold recently, and the original list price was a little high. We all felt, and we were getting offers a little lower. Most of the offers from the investor types that were looking to build a house on this property and do something with it were under 3 million, but the one buyer that saw value in the property for what it was,
Yeah.
that understood the value for their circumstances, was the one that paid over 3 million for it, because they had a valuation in their brain that was like, this is what we are going to do with this property. And so they were willing to pay a little more. We had actually two or three people that offered over 3 million. We just couldn't get them
Yeah.
together. One of them finally came together. So my point in saying that is every house has that one buyer.
Yeah.
The discussion becomes, how long are you willing to wait? So to your point, at the moment, the average days on market for Burlington for houses that are listed is something in the range of 70 to 80 days, but houses that have sold is 30 to 50 days.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? Right? It tells you that those people that are priced effectively in the
Hmm.
market that we're in, whether it be by price reduction or the original price that they actually ask on the market, are selling the fastest,
Yeah.
right? And people are gravitating towards the less expensive homes in general because the average sale price in Burlington is 1.1, where the average list price as a whole is usually around 1.4.
Yeah.
So things that are listing higher and just sitting and sitting and sitting, the option, the tool that we use for this particular circumstance in these scenarios is a price reduction, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing I always tell people when it comes to price reductions is, there's I've had people ask me, well, can we reduce it by 5,000 or 3,000 or, and I
Hmm.
kind of go, no, because think about how people search on MLS.
Hmm.
They search in 25, 50, and $100,000 increments. Bottom line. So
Hmm.
if you're reducing your price by less than 25,000, you're not going to get to the next bracket where people are actually searching for you,
Yeah.
right? So you want to be under that bracket. In fact, I also heard another interesting comment. It was called like a double, I forget what they called it. The idea that you're listing at 799. If someone searches, they're searching from 600 to 800. So you're going to see that, right?
Hmm.
But there's another, when you go from 800 to 900, you're missing out on 799.
Yeah.
So there's another little interesting comment there to think that, all these 799s to be psychologically like at 700,000 instead of 800,000
Hmm.
is maybe detrimental to you if you're not listing at 800 even, because you're definitely capturing the crowd below because they go up to 800, but you're not
And
capturing the crowd above 800.
yeah. Yeah.
Interesting point. Never thought of that before, saw it on the internet, thought I'd share it.
It's a good, it's a good share.
Yeah.
So,
So,
so Justin, what do you think about the market? How do you feel about the market? And as a professional, what have you been doing to stimulate clients and to work with clients and to get them to the point of selling or buying?
well, from the buyer's perspective, the interesting part is we do have a lot of inventory. So it's almost easier from a buyer's perspective. What you don't want to have happen from our point of view is it's very difficult when we have to see 500 homes as a buyer, right?
Mhm.
It's a hard process because what that does is it convolutes the whole sales process, right? You forget the things you've seen, and you
Yeah.
may have one benchmark, and that benchmark slowly fades into oblivion as you see the other 30 homes, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
You
you
get
really
more,
want to,
you get more and more frustrated. The
you do,
buyer
but
does.
two things will happen. So when you see a house you like or you love and you are genuinely interested in it, I always tell people that the houses that are priced correctly that are really good homes tend
Mhm.
to sell first anyway.
Yeah.
So as much as you have time to wait and to go through 30 other houses, the question becomes, how bad do you want this house? Because other people probably think it's a nice home too. And it's likely that those best houses that you're really looking at that you want to see and buy are going to get snapped up a little bit quicker than the other houses that are out there in general, especially ones that have been sitting a while. And you may end up missing out. But the second part of it is, from a buyer's perspective, you 100% we're negotiating hard for buyers right now. Like we're not going in a few thousand under asking unless it's a brand new listing, I suppose. But we're really working to try to get our buyers really good deals, because this is the market of negotiating,
Hmm.
you know. And the one thing I really hate about negotiating right now, when I negotiate with like third party realtors, I love other realtors, don't get me wrong, but when someone calls me and says, or texts me or emails and says, or even a client emails me and says, I don't want to go back and forth 40 times, right? I just want let's get to the no, just no. That's not how this works. A negotiation is a negotiation for a reason. And our job is to help you. We had a gentleman recently who, if you recall, we had an offer in on his property and they said, oh, we'll just take that price. We're good with that price. And I said to him, you know what, guys? If we go in a little bit higher, we have to sign it back anyway because we had to make a couple of other administrative changes to the offer. Why don't we just go in with a little bit more money and see if they accept it? And what do you know? They accepted it, right? So this is a very negotiable time right now where we have to push hard for our buyers and negotiate hard for our sellers at the same time,
Yeah.
right? And push it to the nth degree. And I know you've said to me for years, don't walk away from offers. Let the other party make the other party walk away from the offer, because then you've pushed it as far as you could possibly push it,
Mhm.
and you're forcing them to walk away, which means you've done everything you can to try to get this deal together,
Mhm.
right? So it's an interesting time where negotiation is the biggest thing. Back and forth, I tell people that negotiation is where you make your money.
Yeah.
As a buyer, it's where you get your best deal. As a seller, it's where you get the most money out of people, you know. And I'm not shy about $5,000 up and down on an offer. Forget it. I'll do it if it means you make a
However,
little more
yeah,
money.
and you know what, Justin, that's a good point, and I'm going to tell you why, is because I think buyers, are shy if the house is listed, and I'm going to say, let's say the house is listed at 3.5, and the buyer only thinks that it's worth because the property around has sold for anywhere from 2.5 to 2.8. So I don't think that property is worth 3.5. Well, let's put it on paper. Let's
Mhm.
start the negotiation, because I'm going to tell you that you never know
Mhm.
what your seller or the seller, if you're not representing them, their mindset is. They may be sitting there that day going, I want to sell this place badly, or I'm not going to take anything less than 3.2, you know. So you don't know. And so when you start that back and forth negotiation, that's when the excitement starts. And that's when people start saying, you know, maybe they'll pay that, or maybe they won't pay that. And so you have to build that momentum. You have to, as an agent, as a professional, and if you're representing a seller or a buyer, that's what it's all about today. In the frenzied market, we were order takers.
Mhm.
We were order takers. I
Mhm.
would say, how much do you want to pay? This is okay, here you go.
But
And
that's where this one shot deal comes from. That's where people are coming from when they say, "Oh, just bring me your
yeah,
best offer."
but it's not a one-shot deal
I
anymore.
know it should never be anymore right
Yeah,
now.
and I want to impress upon buyers out there that it is not a one-shot deal anymore. And try your offer, open the process of putting in that offer and saying, this is my starting offer, and this is what I think we should be paying. So how do you feel about that? Especially with the terms, as long as it's not conditional on sale of a property. Now, we can talk about that.
1 second, I want to say one other thing, and then we'll jump into that because that's a really great point. So what I wanted to say was, and also don't get emotional about the first offer.
Oh,
So if you're a seller and you get a really low offer, this is happening every day right now. So if you sit there F off, and you throw them out the door. And you said, I actually had a guy one time when I offered, this is probably 20 years ago now. I brought him an offer and it was a fairly low offer. And he came out the front. This is when we presented in person. I presented the offer. I standing outside up against my car, and he walks up to me with the offer and flings it in my face. Papers went everywhere. I've never had that happen since, nor before that. And subsequently, when I saw the guy when he retired, and I went, "Hey, do you remember doing this to me?" And he goes, "No." And I go, "Well, you did." And I was kind of being tongue in cheek about it, but he goes, "You know what? I'm so sorry. Like that was a different me at the time, you know." So anyway, long story short, never get emotional, because one thing that again, I learn everything from my parents, right? So Karen has taught me a lot. The first offer is a shot across the bow, just to see what the seller or the buyer is going to do. Whether it's the first offer from the buyer back to up to the seller, and then that sign back to the buyer, that first offer is just like a positional offer. Here's where we are. We're starting the negotiation. It's the second round where you start to see their true colors as to where they want to end up, right? So buyer offers 800,000, prices, properties listed at 950. Seller counters back at 920. Cool. So, buyer jumps up to 875. What I would learn from that as a seller is I'd go, you're probably not getting them over 900. That's just my thought. You might, and you try for it, but you might take a few rounds, but you might not get him over 900. But you would know if he came to 890 or even closer to 9, he might be coming over 900. So you can make assumptions or, educated guesses based on people's scenario, but you can't do it on the first offer. And if you never get into the second round, you might as well not have offered in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. So go ahead.
I want to add something here. Justin always says he learns from his parents and his mother and his whatever. And I got to tell you that since I've been with Justin last October, when we formed this partnership, and we went through a few changes, etc. But I got to tell you that I have learned so much from Justin in this market and how to do business in the new way and technology. And so I'm so grateful for having, or first of all, for being a real estate agent in today's world, because this is an amazing time to be a real estate agent. It's fast, it's quick, it's wonderful. The people you meet they're amazing. It's an incredible business. So I just want to say thank you, Justin.
Well, I
And
appreciate that. I do what I can.
And so on the other note, we were going to talk about conditional on sale.
Yes, I just wanted to get
You,
back there
you,
too. Yeah, for sure.
you talk about that, because a conditional on sale to me, and in one sentence, it's a reserve bid on a house. And if you're going to accept a conditional on sale, you're lost.
So as a seller in this market, it becomes very dicey, because the other property, depending on what it is, there's a lot of unknowns, right? Properties are sitting on the market for a lot longer. Sellers are still being stubborn with their pricing and a little too high with their prices and sitting too long. And as a seller, it actually knocks, like, people won't come and see your house if there's a condition on sale on your house, right? Because the real estate agents know this, and they will look at it and let the buyers know, hey, there's a condition on sale on this house. Do you really want to go
And they
view it?
won't show it.
They won't show it. So there's a few negatives to it. First of all, you're better off leaving it not conditioned on sale, potentially even lowering the price a little, quite frankly, and continuing forward from there to try to secure a firm offer. But you're not wrong. It's a reserve bid. And as a buyer, the position it puts you in is dicey as well, because you have to be very careful, because one, you have to have your house ready to sell, right? Like, it has to be either on the market already or ready to go within a few days, because that time between the time your offer is accepted and the time your house goes to market is wasted time. So a lot of sellers won't even look at it if it's like, oh, well, our house won't be on the market for 2 or 3 weeks, right? So they just won't even look at it. That being said, you're right. Reserve bid. You've put all that effort in. You've transferred money for deposits. You maybe have done home inspections. You've paid for that. And then someone else comes along and offers, and then you have to walk away because you haven't sold your house yet. See, my mindset about real estate, housing, and sales is, and it's kind of a tricky mindset because a lot of people have come to me and said, my house is priced right, it's just not selling. And I love that comment because my argument back would be, yeah, but if we listed it for $1 today, would it, do you think it would have sold? Well, yeah, of course. So it's always going to be the price. There's never anything else. If you want to stand out from the crowd of the other 700 listings on the market in your area, or in Toronto, for example, the other 6,000 condos for sale in the market in Toronto,
Yeah.
you lower the price to a point where people have no choice but to look at yours first because they're like, look at all these at 500,000. Oh, this one's at 480 or 450 below everybody else. Well, that's interesting. Let's go see that one first because it's the most valuable, like the
And
most value in the
and
property.
that's what we did. That's what I just did. I sold a condo this morning,
Mhm.
and that's what we did. We in Milton, there are some, I don't know how many hundreds of listings as far as condos because there's new buildings going up and they're
Everywhere.
beautiful. I mean,
Mm,
they're beautiful condos.
yes. Yeah.
But you know what? We chose the one that was the best deal on the market and we got it.
Mm.
So all I'm saying is that, and all Justin is saying is that, yes, that's exactly what the buyers are looking for. By the worst house on the best street, or by the worst price, or the best price on the worst
On,
street.
the, on,
I
on a
don't
nice
know.
street. No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whatever. It's just you have to be aware of what the sales are, what's going on in the market to buy. And it's easy because the computer is sitting right in House Sigma has everything
Yeah.
and realtor.ca and what have you.
Mhm.
But
Not a lot of people know this, but realtor.ca now has sold prices on there too.
yeah.
You can go in and check sold prices in there as well, which is
Oh,
kind of
I
cool.
didn't know that,
Yeah,
Justin.
no, the idea of the condition on sale really sort of falls apart when you start really understanding the market as a whole and how long things
And
are
there's
sitting.
solutions that we have
Yeah.
for you to list your house and not be nervous about not finding a house and be nervous about finding a house because you know what? We have solutions. We have fantastic solutions for you to be able to sell your house and move happily into your next house and find a house. You've got long closing dates. You've got reverse conditions. There's all kinds of things that we can work with you on because we're very seasoned. That's the nice part about it.
Well, also, I mean, I go by history and historical data to allow for, and of course, there's always outliers in individual situations, but I can comfortably say that in the years that I've been working in this industry, I've never had anyone go homeless, for one. And and even if we've been down to the wire, I've
Sure.
never actually had someone that has owned two homes for a long enough time that makes it uncomfortable. Right? So we plan for all the pieces, and I think that's part of the process is understanding A, the market, B, what you can do with your house and the options that you have as a sale when you're selling, but understanding the idea of here's what we need to do in order to move forward from here, and here's the plan moving forward. If you understand the plan, you understand the concepts that you can use to be able to allow yourself to move forward, and you're not greedy, right, within the framework of the market you're in, because that's a major part of it. People are stuck on a price, they won't reduce their price. We don't choose the pricing. We don't determine. We don't look at it and go, it's 500,000, therefore it's 500,000. We give you our best estimate of what we feel that is the best place to sell it at, and then we adjust from there. But if the house isn't selling, it's always going to be price. You work towards that goal. But if you've got this condition on sale connected to it, you have to be more flexible. You are almost in some sort of requirement to be more flexible because you're affecting not just your life, but the seller on the other side's life, the agent using their time and effort and all these things that all these people you're affecting by not being flexible and understanding the system and understanding a plan forward for your home. Simple as that.
So we always say in our business, we like to deal with willing sellers. And so here's my point. When you're hiring an agent, whether it be a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, always deal with an agent that is honest with you, has integrity, is seasoned, and has a really good background as far as success rate, ask for their credentials and their testimonials because that is the only way that you're going to move forward happily. I have, and that is it in a nutshell. People come back and come back to us constantly. And I love that because it's such an honor to know that they were happy with my service. And that's it in a nutshell. That's
Yeah,
all.
no, it's definitely a changing market, and you have to do your research in order to interview people and
Yeah.
understand who you're getting into. Because I'll tell you right now, and we've had this discussion over and over again, like I watch real estate videos daily because I like
And he
to try to,
does real estate
and I
videos.
do great real estate
Fabulous.
videos, I think. But I
You're
think the
fabulous.
one
He's
thing that makes me
becoming a
laugh,
star, by the way.
whatever. But
He's
but the one thing that makes me laugh about real estate videos right now is that when a trend starts to happen, everybody jumps on board and nobody thinks about doing something different. They just think about trying to do the same thing that everyone else is doing. So if I have to hear, for example, let's go take a look another time on a real estate video, I'm going to strangle myself or jump off the top of my roof because I'm so tired. Like you have to be different. Everybody's script is the same. Welcome to 123 Main Street. This is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home in the heart of Burlington, Ontario, steps to all the amenities, blah, 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 blah. Let's go take a look. First of all, most houses are steps to all the amenities because that's how they're built for the most part. Unless you're in the country away from all the stuff. In the city, everything. You could walk out your front door, walk down the road, and there's usually grocery stores pretty close by. So it's not that big of a thing. Almost every house has natural light because almost every house has windows. So if you keep saying, look at all the natural light in this room, I'm gonna die. Right. And so like there's all these things that people say. So how do we differentiate? Genuinely speaking, from a listing standpoint, you want your house to feel different, be different. What do? We market. What is the crux of marketing when you watch Coca-Cola or Nike or any of these companies marketing their homes? It's all about lifestyle. They're
Mhm.
wearing the big glasses, having a great life, dark glass out in the sunshine, hot chicks, hot guys, all the things. It's a lifestyle thing, right? You're always selling lifestyle. How is your life going to be better by having this product? So why aren't we doing the same thing with our houses? Why do we sit there and go 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, blah, 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 close to all amenities, the same bullshit every time, over and over and over again, instead of talking about how there's room for your kids hockey bags, there's room for this and the reality of this in this
I've
scenario,
got
right?
one because I was sitting in a house the other day and it was in the country. And the first thing the daughter asks is, do they have DoorDash who deliver here? And I went, oh, I never thought of that. But that's true, isn't it? It's DoorDash if DoorDash, because we're so used to having delivery.
It's,
And
you know
so,
what, that's a great point. There are some parts of the areas that don't have delivery for certain things.
well, in that area, they didn't.
Really? That's
Yeah, because
interesting.
she checked. I was
I
so,
didn't know that. I didn't know that
yeah.
was a thing
So
nowadays.
I said, well, I said, maybe there's a pizza place that really does deliver. And she said, let me check. And she found one place that would deliver to them. I couldn't
So
believe.
she'll be eating pizza for the rest of her life, basically.
But it's all the modern conveniences. I
Yeah.
don't think I don't want to leave the house. I don't want to go to a restaurant. I want DoorDash to come to me, you
Yeah.
know?
But
But
understanding and knowing what the lifestyle in a particular home is like is really the most important thing.
yeah,
Selling that lifestyle is the most important thing. People more than ever are buying, products, whether it be houses or, shirts or glasses or whatever, shoes, cars, based on the lifestyle and how it makes them feel, right? These
yeah,
glasses make me feel good. This sweater makes me feel good. It makes my arms feel big. Those are the reasons why I buy these things. In fact, I would actually even love it if a like a Lululemon type company said, check it out. Even the skinniest guys can feel like they have big arms in this sweater. I think that's cute and funny, and I think it works in a marketing, context. And so when it comes to selling houses, why aren't we doing it like that? Why do we simply just state facts?
mm,
We know that storytelling is 28 times more memorable than facts alone. The facts are it's a 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom home on a 60 by 120 lot. The reality of it is it's a machine for building families, right? It's a space to love and grow and have birthday parties around the island and all the things that you're going to do with your family. Those are the things that sell houses. The reason why someone's probably going to buy the house you're in right now, if you've got it listed or if you're thinking of listing it, is probably the same reason you bought it. So
Yeah.
tell your story.
And don't forget the neighbor, the neighbors.
That's a really great point.
And because I just got a call this morning and there's this gentleman who wants to sell his house because the neighbors have disrupted the whole neighborhood and
Right.
they're right next door to him. And he said, I got to sell this property. I have to sell this property. And I said, because of the neighbors? And he said, yeah. He said, I am leaving. And so, you know what? This
That's a
is
great point.
yeah. So
It's a
you
great point.
have to, when you're buying something, make sure you check out the neighbors and their comments about the neighbors and see what it's all about. The neighborhood, the schools, the parks, whatever, and the shopping. And you know what? Who wants to get into their car anymore because they've been driving all day or going to Toronto or doing what they have to do in their car? And can they walk to a Starbucks or a Tim Hortons or a Fortino's, you know? And this is so important to people nowadays because it's lifestyle, as Justin said, lifestyle, you know, and how can we live it in a more relaxed manner? And this is how it's done.
It's all about solving problems. If your problem is your house is too small and you got too many kids,
Yeah.
too many Legos, this house is going to solve that problem because it's bigger, because it has this, because it has that, right?
So
If your problem is you don't want stairs anymore, well, this is the house that's going to serve you that has no stairs anymore. You know what I mean? So you got to find those moments and find those. Every house has an ideal buyer. Checking demographics,
yeah,
understanding the area, knowing that an area that has primarily probably going to be a higher age demographic than areas with a lot of two stories, right? So marketing to 20 to 50-year-olds in an area where there's all bungalows is probably not the proper way of doing it.
no.
Right? Understanding this data is important. Understanding
Mm,
who's in your neighborhood is important, right? And you know, it's interesting because marketing evolves on a daily basis. The goalposts are always changing because of the internet and social media and how we do things. But the one thing that remains is data is the key,
mhm.
right? It's always based on the data. So we gather the data, understand the data, send the information out based on that data, and you do what you can. One of the best questions that I think we ask our sellers when we list houses is, well, two, what's your favorite room in the house and what's your favorite memory in the house? And I think those are interesting questions to ask because it gets people to open up about, oh, well, you know, my husband proposed to me in this room of the house and it was so exciting and blah, 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 or whatever. Or, you know, this room over here was where my child was born and we had, you know, for the first 10 years of his life, he lived here. And, you know, it's a beautiful, like we have so many memories of just holding our son and changing diapers and, you know, whatever else. Cool. Those are the things we need to hear because those are the things we're going to tie into the marketing when we actually do the marketing, right? So it's very interesting in this market to
We we
differentiate yourself.
we can talk forever, but
Oh,
what we would like to do next time is probably have questions come at us through Facebook so we can
yeah.
answer them. But we have to go because we have our next evaluation.
We're pushing on time. Yes, we are.
We're pushing on time. We have to be there, and we're going to look at an 13-acre property. So I really, really love the idea of people texting in or calling in or whatever it is, chiming in to ask questions because we would love to know what your questions are, what your queries are. And we can do this again without a guest and answer your questions. So there
We
you go.
will. We will for sure.
Okay.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. It's been an interesting one and always fun to chat. And we'll see you again next week. We got some more real estate, I think, coming next week as well. Just so
Okay.
you know. See ya.